What's up, everybody? It's Shanti Das, the host of the Silence of Shame podcast, back yet with another informative and I know soon to be amazing conversation today. Thank y'all for joining us. As you know, this season we have been talking about the mental health and wellness of our first responders, and just super, super important to look at anyone in your community who happens to be a first responder, and just give them grace and know that we are holding space for them, and we're happy to share resources and support them as they do this critical and heavy work in our communities. And I'm super excited about our guest today. She is a native of Atlanta, has over 27 years of experience in the emergency communications industry. She began her career as a communications officer, handling 911 calls and dispatching police and fire personnel to incident locations. Throughout her career, she has been recognized for her exceptional performance and dedication to her workout with so many awards. Too many to name. Let's welcome to the show, Desiree Arnold. Hi.
Hi, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. And y'all, fun fact, we actually went to school together.
Yeah.
That's what you gotta love about Atlanta and APS.
Yeah.
So it's great to see you.
Too.
And thank you so much for joining. And thank you. We had your husband Harold on, so it's definitely a family affair going on. So we can just right in if that's okay with you.
Let's go.
Okay, awesome. So my first question for you is, how long have you been in this director role? And did you ever take calls as an operator?
Yes, so I've been a director. This year in July will be 5 years.
Okay.
So it's yes. And yes, I started taking calls in 1998. So I've been
Wait, did you say 1998?
1998.
Wow.
So yes, I just made 28 years.
Look at that. That is a blessing. What was it like for you when you first started out?
Scary. Very scary.
In what way? Because I know you obviously didn't want to make any mistakes. And
Right, right. It's the life or death thing. And so you have to always make the right decisions. There's very little room for error. And anytime that you're starting to do something that you're not accustomed to, there you're gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
And so it was scary.
Do you ever recall any instances when you were just starting out where it was just taking a toll on your mental health?
Actually, no.
Because we didn't talk about that
Right.
then. So.
When I started in 98, I started in the Suck It Up Buttercup, right?
Talk about
And
that.
we were told that once we hang up the phone,
Suck it up, buttercup.
Suck It Up Buttercup.
Okay.
Yes. So
that meant if you were stressed out or anxious, we ain't talking
you
about
gotta
it.
deal with it. And you were looked at as weak if you had emotions. And so um during that time we were told once we disconnect the line with you, our relationship is over. So we
Okay.
was told to just let it go.
Yeah. And I understand that because I'm sure it can be hard and you can't necessarily take the situation into the next call or situation because it is a matter of life
Right.
or death. It's got to be probably one of the toughest jobs out there, right?
I think the biggest thing is that you don't always know the outcome. And that weighs on people a lot because once you end the call, unless it makes the news
Right.
or something else, you never know what happens to that person.
That's really tough. What type of calls tend to have the most lasting emotional impact on 911 operators? I mean, I know you just talked about not knowing the outcomes, but are there or were there any particular calls that weighed heavier than others?
So I would say kids are normally anything that happens to kids is because we have a lot of mothers
Okay.
that work in our center, a lot of parents, grandparents. So kids always weigh heavy on our team. And then anything that affects multiple people, like active shooter incidents, things that involve like officer involved shootings, if the officer is killed or firefighter, because you work with them every day. So even though you're working with them via radio, they're still your coworkers.
Yeah.
So those things impact them. More importantly, it can be specific to the person just based on their experiences. And those experiences change. So we had one operator who had been with us over 20 years.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, she was impacted by people killed in car accidents. And we didn't understand why. And we found out that she had a friend, a close friend, a family member that had recently been killed in a car
So
accident.
that was triggering for her.
So it was triggering her. And so she thought about it. And she was like, I don't know how to not answer calls, involving people that died in car accidents. And that was something that never bothered her before. So it can change, and it can change just based on experience.
Absolutely. Wow, my heart goes out to her. Um, as a director, what do you advise team members or operators who might be experiencing something like that, knowing that there are resources now that exist that weren't there, 25, 30 years ago?
Right. We always offer them employee assistance. Of course, we have a wellness check once a year with
Okay.
Dr. Moore's team. So we
Okay.
met Dr. Moore
Okay.
before. We have peer support inside the center. So we have dispatchers that are trained for peer support. And I also have a statewide peer support network. So sometimes if you go through something, you don't want to discuss it with the person that you're going to work next to tomorrow. Right. So, but you want to talk to someone in the industry because you feel like they truly understand what you're going through because they've sat in your seat. So, given that statewide peer support helps, but more importantly, it's important to me and my team to just know our people.
100%.
And so we start to build those relationships from day one and make them comfortable coming to us and saying that something is wrong.
Yeah.
Not only if they don't feel comfortable, but we can notice those things. So I know if you normally bubbly and now you're not, okay, something's going on.
That's right.
But we start establishing those relationships early on. So when you come in my office is not the director's office when you get in trouble. Right.
How so?
Because people come in, I keep candy, water,
Ah.
soda, chips,
Okay.
sausage, like anything, right? Because it brings people in.
Yeah.
And so they feel comfortable just coming in. And then it's a catalyst to a conversation.
That's right.
So if they want to have a conversation with me, they might come in and say, oh, I'm getting some chocolate. Oh, by the way, did you know this
And see, we
happened?
call that creating a safe environment.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I love that.
So that's what's most important outside of all the other resources and being able to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, director, I'm on the way home and I took this call. I don't feel good," and that's happened before.
Open door policy, creating safe spaces. That's wonderful that exists now. Do you know how operators typically process difficult or traumatic calls during their shifts, like, because that's after a shift,
Right.
but is it anything that you all teach, or not, maybe not necessarily you, but that you all are trained in terms of how you deal with traumatic calls in that moment?
Right. And sometimes it's specific to that person.
Okay.
Some people will demonstrate physically. We've had someone get physically ill after
Really?
taking a call because it was involving a child. They have a child and a brother that are the same age, and it just took a toll on her. And then
so
we have
came
people
out through
that
a physical.
right
Okay.
had to call an ambulance. Like she really had an anxiety attack.
Okay.
Behind that call. So we try to set up resources like peer support, of course, on scene. So we're taking those calls in the moment.
Got it.
And it's good to have someone that you know is on your team that goes through peer support training and that can sit down with you and counsel you. Additionally, I have we recreated our wellness room about 3 years ago.
Oh, great.
Massage chairs, the whole nine.
Okay.
Really good massage chairs. So if they do take a traumatic call, they need to take a moment. Then they can go in and they can actually sit down. It's quiet. It's dark. We have two massage chairs.
So they can actually take a break.
They can actually take a break. Yep, they can step away. If they need to step away, then we allow them to do that.
That is so crucial and critical. I love that you all do that for the operators. Are there any common signs that an operator is struggling? I know you mentioned earlier, like if someone is bubbly and they are kind of starting to frown, and do operators tend to openly discuss their challenges? Do you still see the stigma there? I talked to your husband a little bit about this too, about just the stigma even now, in 2026 still being there.
I think the newer newly hired employees are more open to expressing feelings because it's more acceptable.
Yeah.
And they're accustomed to it versus the people that have been there, like myself, 20 plus years.
Okay.
So
And it's a generational thing.
it is. It's generational because they're more focused on their mental health, right? They've had more conversation about being in the moment, dealing with their emotions, speaking freely than we did.
Right.
And so I think they're more open to actually having those conversations than the people that have been here for a very long time. You may have to pull something out of them. A lot of them don't show a lot of emotion. I'm guilty. I don't show emotion.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I don't show a lot of emotion, and that's either way. So I'm never like really happy, and I'm never like really
Just
sad.
always calm.
I'm just always the same,
Okay.
which has worked also.
Okay.
But yeah, so I think that is the stigma still exists, but I do believe that it's more generational than the younger people.
Yeah, absolutely. Still got to do some work with our age group
Yes.
and our seniors. Although
Yes.
I think we're making strides, but it depends on even I think if you have children or grandchildren, they're talking more in the home and
Right.
opening up more and kind of leading by example that way.
I think we serve more as a comforter than the person that says how we feel.
Yep.
We're more of the hey, you okay?
Yeah.
That type person. Come
Yeah.
on, let's talk. We're serving that role more so than the one that's actually
Absolutely.
exhibiting emotion.
Absolutely. And so, you talked about what was the saying that they called it?
Suck it up, buttercup.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Suck it up, buttercup.
And so that is you see a lot of that in the first responder culture, right? Um, how is your organization working to change that? I know you talked about allowing them to take breaks, but do you find during the trainings you're openly talking about that? Like that's not the culture that we have anymore in
We
this
do.
environment?
We do have those conversations. I'm more of I like to sit down and just have a more personal conversation. I don't meet my trainees in a classroom and
Got
on a
it.
board and
Yep.
give you all the rules. We
Okay.
sit down and we just have candid conversation.
Okay.
And so in those conversations, we do discuss all of the resources that we have available for them. Some people get into the position and they don't realize what they're doing. And it's very unnatural. It's unnatural for a person to sit down for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours and repeatedly
shifts are?
yes, they're 10 hours and repeatedly listen to people experience the worst day of their life over and over again.
It's can be a totally traumatic situation. Absolutely. All day. Wow.
So we have those conversations. Of course, we have posters up. We make sure that if they need help, they know how to actually access it. And I think that's what's most important. I can't protect you, from every traumatic experience,
Right.
but I might be able to help you through it. And then there are people that decide maybe this is just not for me. And we encourage them to make that decision. If you know this is not for you, it's fine. It's not for everybody. And we've had people that will say that, hey, it's just not. It's not for me.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
I respect that about you all because I just personally can't imagine, just having to be objective all day for 10 hours straight and not take on any of that other trauma.
Right.
And who knows what that person is dealing with in their home,
right.
at their own house, right?
Absolutely.
Or in their own friend group or situation. That's a lot.
Absolutely.
Which just gives me just so much more respect for the job.
Yeah.
Of all of our first responders, firefighters, EMT workers, 911 operators,
Right.
police officers. It's a lot.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times I'll explain to people one of the differences is that we go call after call with we have nothing to say what we're about to answer, right? So we've had someone answer a noise complaint almost the end of their shift, 8 minutes to the end of their shift. I got a noise complaint. Answer the call, hang up. The next call was an active shooter. So there's no preparation for call after call, and even with first responders, even with fire, police, and medics, we prepare them for what they're going to see. Right? We tell them you're en route to this call. This is who you're looking for. This is what you're about to walk into. So en route to those calls, they have an opportunity to process. Like, I'm about to walk into this situation, and this is what I'm about to see, or this may be what I'm about to encounter. We don't have that.
That is a lot. Which in so many words, what you're saying is it oftentimes, I'm not making a direct comparison, but it can be harder at times.
Right.
To your point for the 911, because you can't.
Right. And it's nothing you can do, right? So you can only just listen to someone, ask for help, and do what you can over the phone. But I always tell my people, you can't save everybody. And so once you have that mindset that you're doing everything that you can do with the resources that you have, you can't save everybody.
Whew. That's a lot, Desiree.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to
speak. I am just so grateful because I think it's enlightening. It's educational, I think, for the average person in the community who, we see it on these shows, right? All we know is really what we see on TV shows. We see, and I used to watch 911, all the different versions of it. And I used to sit there sometimes and go, I don't know how they do it, and just knowing that emotionally there's no real preparation. Right. Now, from a personal standpoint, because I know everyone has different beliefs or, whether they believe in the universe or higher power, did faith ever come into play for you, even in addition to the mental health resources that you have there?
Every day, every single day. One thing that this job has done for me is it makes me thankful for the life that we have. And so sometimes when I would come in and take calls, even if I thought I had a bad day, you answer the phone and you're like, wow, what I was going through wasn't so bad after all. So it's
humbling, huh?
Very, very humbling, and it makes you realize how grateful and blessed you really are.
Amen to that. All right, I only have a few more questions, but I am learning so much, and I'm just so inspired by you, the work that you do, and the work that your team does.
Thank you.
And again, if I didn't say thank you, thank y'all for doing the hard work and for literally, pun intended, answering the call every single time somebody's in trouble. Yeah, thank you so much. How are supervisors, Desiree, trained to recognize and respond to any mental health concerns, even amongst leadership? I don't know. Are y'all taught just to even look at your other leaders and say, you know what, they need support too?
Now, I can say with my team, we're very family oriented. Okay. So even with the 28 years that I've been there, I have people that have been there much longer. Okay. So they saw me walk in the door. We're very, very, very family oriented. So leadership wise, we do have conversations with each other. Okay. We have check-ins with each other. And then when there is a major incident or something that I may see come across my phone, it was involving a child, it was involving something, we call. And so what I've noticed over time is that we will call the supervisor's desk and say, hey, who's the dispatcher on that call? Who's the call taker? Has anyone checked on them? And they may say, oh, wait a minute, let me do that now. So now we've evolved to where when I make that call or someone on my team makes that call, they've already done it. Yes, great. We've already talked to them. We pulled them off the radio. We gave them EAP. They went home, whatever that person needed. They provided it.
So y'all are on it.
So we're on it.
That's amazing. And I like that it's a very fluid conversation. It's always ever evolving. You're talking, you're listening, you're watching, and intervening when you need to.
Right. And we had to learn to also check on our supervisors, because that was
what they say, check on your strong friends.
Right. We had to learn to check on them as well, because sometimes they've been a part of that whole incident. So that's something that we had to check ourselves at the door on.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so what role do you think emotional burnout in turnover? Because you did say sometimes you see operators say, you know what, this job isn't for me. Right. And so, what type of emotional toll or burnout do you see amongst 911 operators?
I would say, we normally lose people within the first year. Okay. And a lot of times that's because it's something, like you said, I watch the TV shows and they get in there and realize this is not television, right? This is not what I thought it would be. Life. And it's okay. And we let them know it's okay for you to determine that. We did have a person recently that said, hey, I'm going to clean planes. because I need my mental. And it's okay.
It was too much.
Right, it was too much. And so we normally notice it around the first year or so.
Okay.
Um, no, once you're there 5 or 10 years, you're pretty much, good with
And
everything.
that you can handle it.
Yeah, you can handle everything. Like I said, unless you get something that, because of experience, it traumatizes you.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I would say that turnover happens within that first year due to anything dealing with the mental health. And sometimes people just need a job. And they say, hey, they're hiring. Let me go get this job. And then they're like, wait a minute. This is not
I
the
didn't sign
job.
up for
Right.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Oh, Desiree, we only got two more questions
Oh,
left.
you're fine.
But again, I could talk to you all day. This is great. What do you wish the public better understood about the emotional toll of this job? I don't even know if y'all get pranks or different things, like this, or even if you do get prank calls, like what do you want us to know about the seriousness of the emotional toll of this job and how y'all really have to focus, like you said, for 10 hours straight?
Yeah, I would say one, we're human. So everyone answering that phone is has family, they have friends, and that they are really empathetic to the situation, even though it's a job. We still have a job to do.
Right.
And sometimes I'll get emails like they didn't sound like they cared when they really do, but they're trying to get that help that you need in that moment. And the public has no idea how many times at the end of that call that operator has to log off and step out. But they can't break
That
down
it
because
did
they
affect
have to
them, but
be
they had to be
strong
strong.
for you. That's what they're there for.
Yes.
And so that's important for them to understand. And it's difficult to do that when you can't put a face with the person that you're talking to. So you remember we had, what's that, 411 that we used to call it? You just call and somebody answers, right?
Yeah.
And so they don't think about these are people that give up Christmas with their families, New Year's Eve with their loved ones, Thanksgiving, birthdays,
That's right.
all kind of activities that we have to
911 is
give up.
always on.
Exactly, so that they can be there for you.
Yeah.
And so I think that is important, and it's often overlooked.
And, do y'all ever have, I'm just curious, you ever get prank calls?
We do. We do.
No, please
We
stop the prank calls, okay?
we get prank calls, and then we get calls that just never should have come to 911, and we publicize those on our social media,
Okay.
and they're unnecessary calls. We have a segment called the Twilight Zone, and we actually play those calls like you should never call us about this.
Okay.
Like, what day is it? What's the date? Today and tomorrow.
You actually had somebody call 911 to say, what is
What is
today's
today?
date?
And tomorrow.
Okay, y'all,
Absolutely.
respectfully, please don't do that
Please don't.
because you could be holding up the line for, God forbid, a tragedy or something very, traumatic going on. So,
And that's how we kind of came up with the segment
Yeah.
because we get scrutinized a lot
I'm
about
sure.
you didn't answer immediately. And so we're trying to get people to understand, when do you call 911? Like, is it life or death? If it's not, then maybe you should call 311. Right? You got to think about.
And what is 311 for those that don't know?
So 311 is non-emergency.
Okay.
In the city of Atlanta, you dial 311 and then 2. And what that does is puts you in a non-emergency queue.
And so each state probably has their own version.
Right.
So if y'all not in Atlanta or in Georgia, make sure you Google and find out what is your non-emergency number that you can call.
Yes, and keep the 911 lines open for true emergencies.
Yeah.
And we can answer them every call when it comes up if we only answer the emergencies.
That's right. Thank you. That is so informative. I'm learning so much today. So my last question for you is kind of along those lines of like better understanding and for the public, like what is your hope for the future of how we better support operators' mental wellness? And if you could implement one change, for the better around that mental wellness for 911 operators, what would that be?
What I've seen in some other municipalities that I think Atlanta would benefit from is having someone on site or at least available more often, face to face.
Okay, so a licensed professional
clinician to be there. We do have EAP. We do have our wellness center.
Okay.
But I think again, it's about building relationships. So to build those relationships up front.
Yep.
To kind of be there in the moment, and you can't predict like, oh, something awful's going to happen this day. Let me be there.
Yeah.
But if you're there before it happens, then when it happens, people are more open to saying, let me call such and such and talk to them about
That's right.
whatever's going on. So I think that would be, if I could do anything and change it, that would be one of the things that I would definitely work on.
All right. Well, y'all heard it first here on the Silence to Shame podcast. We'd love to get some licensed professional counselors actually in there physically, right? On call.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just got to say, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
You are such a gift. You share so many gems today, and I'm so proud of you to know that I went to school with you and all that you're doing for our community. I mean,
Thank
you truly, and your husband and your colleagues, y'all are the unsung heroes. You get your accolades within I think your group, right, and your
Right.
team, but y'all are the ones who we need to be putting on billboards out in the city and thanking, because so many families owe you and your colleagues and constituents a wealth of gratitude, keeping us safe every day.
And I think out of sight, out of mind, right? So
Yeah,
you saw the firefighters and the police officers rush up, so those are, quote unquote, the heroes. But how did they get there?
that's right.
And so,
Well, you are our hero, our shero today.
thank
So
you.
thank you. Y'all give it up for Desiree Arnold. I'm so grateful, so grateful. And Desiree, we at Silence to Shame are celebrating our 10-year anniversary. So 10 years of Silence to Shame. And so it's been I started this as a movement 10 years ago, and I'm just so grateful to our wonderful staff and team. And we're out there in the community really trying to support people's mental health and educate, as much as possible. And so we're honoring our past as well as investing in our future. And so our call to action today for all of our viewers and listeners is to help us create impact for the next 10 years. And how can you do that if you want to know? Well, you can become a monthly donor. You can share this episode or post on social media about Silence to Shame and all the great work that we're doing. Or you can sign up to be a volunteer. A lot of our activities right now are in the Atlanta area, but we will continue to expand in other states as opportunities arise. And we are a 501c3 nonprofit. So if you would like to donate to us, you can text the word silence, SILENCE, to 707070, or go to our website, silencetheshame.com, click the donate button. And any amount is a great amount. And so we're just grateful for the wonderful support and love that you share with us at Silence to Shame. And so, again, thank you so much for joining us today. And as I always say, Silence the Shame team, make sure y'all take time, save a life, and silence the shame.
3, 2, 1. I think it's time that we start the conversation and silence the shame.
Silence the shame.
Silence the shame. Silence is the difference between treatment or pain, life or death.
Silence the shame.
Speak up now and silence.
Silence.
Silence the shame.